If you've been on TikTok for a while, you must have heard about a ton of Africans telling you that Europeans stole Africa's resources. Now, there's a lot to say about that. First and foremost, most of these resources are still in Africa, and they're not being stolen by Europeans. They're actually being sold to Europeans by the African state leadership. Your own elites are robbing you. It's not us doing it, not anymore. The real issue, of course, is why aren't Africans using their own resources to do things? Why does Mr. Beast have to go to Kenya to build water wells? Why didn't the Kenyan government do it themselves? I suppose the Kenyan government could have done it themselves. They just chose not to do it. Nigeria is now a country of almost 220 million people, the largest country in Africa. But they only produce about 10% of the electricity that a small country like Hungary. Hungary only has 10 million people, but they produce 10 times as much electricity as Nigeria does. I mean, I know you want to have your Wakanda, right? But do you expect white people to give it to you? No, you're supposed to build it yourself. Having said all this, it is of course obvious that we Europeans in the North need to prepare for a possible, potential African rise in terms of technology and therefore also in terms of military capacity. And that means we in Europe need to already start looking ahead and thinking ahead about how we are going to win the war against Africa, because there will be a future war between Europe and Africa.
So guys, welcome to the channel where United Africa is an undisputed Africa. So let's dive right in this video where this government is talking semi-truth and mixing up with a bunch of lies and hypocrisy and kind of nonsense. And you know, that's the belief most white people have. And also, you have black people who also echo the same sentiment. I've heard it before. And it blows my mind. That's why Marcus Garvey had said, Jamaican hero and world hero as well, because he's one of the greats. A man, if you don't know your past, you're doomed to repeat it. So these black people who agree with this don't know their past, so that's why they can say these things. So let's dive into it. He's saying the continent has a lot of resources still. Yes, of course, because that's where the resources are. So if you mine it over years and years and years, it's going to take a long time to deplete the resources. And he's saying that is the elite selling the resources now to the Westerners and the Europeans. But he said, yes, that's true to a level, but these countries cannot sell their minerals and resources at the market value, because they, number one, they don't get credited to sell these things directly on the market. They have to go through a bunch of different businesses which are owned by the Americans and the Europeans, and they're the one that can certify it. And if you can't certify some of these materials, they cannot export it. That's the international law. But it's only placed on Africa, right? So yes, it's still there. And like perfect example, Niger, Burkina Faso, that has the coup recently, especially Niger uranium was powering 25% of France's economy, cities and schools and their educational system and their healthcare. Look at this. France has been buying uranium at 80 cents per kilo for years, while the value of a kilo of uranium is 200 euro. So France, before the coup, just before the coup, the full year before the coup happened in Niger, France made 54 billion from uranium out of Niger. Guess how much money Niger get in return from that, out of that 54 billion? A little over 300 million. That's all Niger received from all that sales. Because what? France was ripping them off because they put things in place from since the Berlin Accord, the Berlin Conference, which was in 1884, 85, I think. It finishes in 85, but it started in 84, the Berlin Conference, when the Europeans divided up Africa. He's not saying that. The colonizers divided up Africa and its resources between different countries in Europe. But he's not. He forget about that. Then now, they make sure they sign treaties that they cannot sell and they cannot develop a factory to refine these. They make sure that African countries cannot refine their own resources, because they make sure you cannot get certified even if you do. Another example. Ghana is one of the biggest gold in reserve still. I'm saying not reserve as in they have it, but underground mining, they still have a huge amount. But Ghana has been trying to get certified to um to certify their own gold for the past 6 years, 6 or 10 years, and they still cannot get credited to certify their own gold up to today. So if Ghana want to sell gold on the market, they cannot sell it themselves. They have to sell it to a third party, and then the third party come and take the raw gold, refine it, certify it, and then sell it out on the market. So that makes these countries cannot get the market value for their resources. So that's another reason why the country is not developed as how it should, because the money is not coming in, and they make sure these same said the Europeans who was in the Berlin Accord, the Berlin Conference, they make sure that the IMF and the World Bank, who work on the United Nations, work in tandem, and the ICC, all these four major organizations work in tandem. The ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, IMF, the World Bank, and the UN. So they charge African countries 8 times more interest to pay back a loan. Why? Because they say, oh, because of African countries are not reliable. But why these countries are reliable? Because these said banking, these said systems, the UN and the IMF and so forth, fund insurgents to destabilize these countries to make sure that they cannot catch themselves. And even if an African country can pay back the loan in full, they don't want it, then they automatically set the country default, even if you pay back your loan before time. So they don't want that, so they try to keep it at arm's length, that every turn they put sticks and bombs in the roads to keep African countries down. The only reason why Africa is rising right now is because of the coups, and these countries are taking control of the resources and banning export of raw materials. So Burkina Faso, for example, President Abraham Traoré say that if you want to mine our gold, you have to come and build a factory in our country and refine it here and then take it and go with it, so we can get the value of it. And this is one of the issues, and this is one of the things he's not saying. He's just saying, oh, why they don't also use it and resources and build a country. It's an uphill. It's an uphill climb. It's like you ever see water run uphill? It doesn't happen. Water flows downhill. So he talked about Nigeria and the power situation, and then Hungary. Hungary is a European country that benefited from the African country resources stolen for decades, right? Also, Nigeria has a puppet president, which means he's a French puppet. So the French make sure he implements laws to benefit France, not benefit their country. They have backdoor deals that sign. You have companies getting rights to mine certain minerals and certain resources. So then the country's only getting a kickback, a small kickback. So he's right when he says some of our elites are helping the Europeans, which is true, that's a fact. They are. A few presidents are puppets. They're put there by the Western world to make sure they stay in touch with their resources and the minerals. And okay, he also mentioned about Mr. Beast and who he went to Kenya. Kenya population is 53 million people, right? Mr. Beast did a good thing. He went to Kenya, built 50 wells, I think, 100 wells, or whatever amount of wells he made. He's a millionaire. He take his money and do something constructive. If he didn't do it, people still cuss him and say he has his money wasted and when he can help. When he do help, people still bashing him. But what I'm going to say about this now, when he's saying why Kenya cannot build the same 100 wells. Kenya has 53 million people to worry about. Mr. Beast went to Kenya and helped maybe 2, 3, let's say 5,000 people did these wells. Well, initially the report is these wells gonna help 1,000 people, but let's just put it to 5,000 people. Let's say these wells gonna help people to get clean, fresh water for 5,000 people. What about the other 52,995,000 citizens? He can't focus on just one set of people in one area. Yes, they need to do this, but it takes time for things to work. You know how government is. It's not a dictatorship. It's a democracy. He can jump and say he want to do this without his parliament backing him. So that's just a non-starter. Look at America. America is one of the richest country and most powerful country in the world, but yet America have thousands upon thousands of homeless people who are. Why don't he talk about why the American government don't build homes for these homeless people? Why you don't talk about building homes for to help with their health situation, where they have people cannot get access to health care? Why don't you talk about that? Well, you want to talk about Kenya and a few thousand people that Mr. Beast helped, when America is way, way, way worse off than Kenya is actually. And they're going to feel it more and more because their money is getting devalued over time and time. And then he's going to be good there talking and smirking about it. I hate when these people make these grand speech, but it's empty. If you dissect it, it's empty. And I hate it even more when black people agree, because I've seen black people agreeing with this man and saying, oh yes, these people are stupid. I have to say they are stupid, because there's no way you can agree with something like that when they don't know the history of Africa. When, let me just rephrase, to summarize it, the Berlin Conference, the Western puppets presidents that's still being controlled by the Western world, and also they have been blackmailing African presidents. They are instigating coups. They are doing assassination for when a president comes to actually help, like Kagame, from President Kagame, they assassinated. Sankara, they assassinated a good couple of our great leaders who wanted to turn the continent around. And what they do, they assassinate them to stop that progress. And the UN, which is the UN peacekeeping mission, they are another organization that's wreaking havoc on the continent, because they are stealing our resources in their UN vehicle where they cannot touch because it's diplomatic. So there's so much I can go on from on and on about this little moronic speech this gentleman made, coming attacking Africa as if where he's from is better. The Europeans are even worse. The Europeans have thousands upon thousands of homeless people, and the government know about it and they don't help these people. So I want to point out something that Mr. Beast did that's just a drop in the bucket. So anyway, let me know what you think about this, my analysis. Let me know, put a comment in the comment section, and let's talk about it. And also, this is going to be my new logo for the channel. So guys, just look out. When I see change, don't be surprised. This is my new logo. Anyway, thanks for watching. Boom.